People of Reddit. Which job has, hands down, the worst impact on mental health? The FBI evidence sifters in child sex cases. Weeks of freeze framing children's faces during abuse videos and matching them to databases to identify the kids against other videos, missing children, etc. Then putting it all in a timeline for prosecutors. They have to watch these videos looping back over and over to record audio, names, places, numbers, background noises, and any other evidence that might connect persons to acts or cases to other cases. First responders will eventually watch a person die right in front of them more than likely. First responder 100. My dad is an oncologist. He handles it well, but that has to be up time you meet a new patient. It's during one of the worst, if not the worst time of their lives. And it's up to you to break it to them, their families, if the toxic treatment you have been administering is working or if they should give up hope and get their affairs in order. You the kind of toll the cancer is taking on their marriage. So many people walk away from their beloved partner of 30 years rather than support them through this, not to mention their finances. There are people who have to watch alleged instances of child porn to confirm or deny whether or not the allegations are true, and then testify in court. Presumably, they are not a Dexter scenario where a pedophile would watch it and be fine with it. It's a human being who would be repulsed by such depravity and evil. Veterinarians have some is the highest rates of suicide. I'm going with that. First responders, police, fire, EMTs. I think they see such violence and destruction. It would be hard to forget. Psychiatric nurse in the psychiatric inpatient hospital. In a state prison, dealing with death row inmates. Medical work, statistically, I don't think anything else comes close. Veterinarian, they say you love animals, so you should do everything for everyone for free or else you're a villain. Don't mind the hundreds of thousands of dollars and 8 years of time it took to get there. People don't save for their pets, then we are the bad guys. Call center rep. Maybe slaughterhouse worker. I mean, being a nurse during the pandemic was pretty shit on a lot of people's mental health. Social worker, nurses and doctors, cancer line worker. Social work is challenging. I found desk jobs with ridiculously long hours to be doozies. I've also worked in the trades. Working hard physically helps your overall health. Sitting in a desk looking at computers for 12 hours regularly was the least healthy thing I've ever done. I can think of two at customer service and suicide hotlines agent. Teaching. Thank you to all of our first responders around the world. I honestly never knew. Helping professions. I was a child protective services worker, brutal. Doctors and nurses. Maybe not the worst per SE, but definitely up there. They experience a lot of second-hand trauma and first-hand trauma of someone dying for reasons out of their control and reasons without their control, unfortunately. Just look at the top suicide rates. Doctors are up there. Which is odd because they're among the most coveted professions on earth. Call center work, nursing, customer service of any kind. I find the profession of a veterinarian to be mentally very challenging. I believe people choose to study it because they love animals very much. However, they have to euthanize them, sometimes even completely healthy animals brought in by irresponsible owners who no longer want to care for them. I also once read that veterinarians have one of the highest suicide rates among professions. I've heard air traffic controller. I remind myself of that when IT gets hard. Social media moderator. Imagine your job is watching videos of animals being mutilated and then having to decide if it violates the twos as written, then moving on to a child abuse video. Mine doesn't deserve top 10, but I worked at a payday loans place for a few months. If that didn't feel like legally working for the devil, I don't know what does. Teacher. I will not elaborate. Crime scene cleanup. Entire families murder suicide. Seeing dead babies would wreck turn to soup, brains splattered, blood, lots of blood, feces and urine, pets taking a chomp because they haven't been fed. Having to pull all carpet, pad and scrubbing some floors. Extracting body probability of bioillnesses, biohazards, blood, airborne pathogens 0.10 will affect a sane person. Social workers have got to be pretty up there. Easily salaried content moderators for YouTube, etc., that has to sift through flagged videos of violence, hate speech, etc. Soldiers who see combat, and perhaps worse, slaughterhouse workers. For some reason, I feel like being a teacher has the worst impact. Are there any teachers here? Veterinary work, specifically animal welfare and rescue. The things that people will do to another living creature is horrendous. I dislike the entire human race. I think the world would be better off if we all just fucked off and died. First responders, combat military, anyone in pediatric medicine, social workers, veterinarians, and vet tax assistants. Combat soldier, nothing destroys the human psyche like the constant stress of combat and being in combat zones. Corrections officer, nightmare all day, every day. Drone operators in the military. I am a nurse who has worked in a psychiatric ward. People who were admitted there usually work in healthcare jobs, social care professions. Usually people who saw other people suffer. First responders. Ironically, a lot of nurses, even those who just started to become one. Not many doctors, though. It is someone's job to go through all the photos and videos on the computers of pedophiles. That'll really fuck a normal person up. The cops who screen abuse videos of kids, maybe. Frontline healthcare and first responders, military. The people you pick up the phone when you call 911. They have to endure mostly horrible calls, listen to people die, or people calling with someone they love dying in front of them. And when it's over, they hang up and answer the next call and start over. There's some great YouTube videos on just how bad it is. Animal cruelty investigator. I met a guy who was a cop who had to watch and classify child porn. He said it was grim, he couldn't give any details, and I didn't want any. I used to want to be a veterinarian, but after hearing knowing things I could never, an understandably high suicide rate there. Active duty soldiers. Sales. Enlisted military without a doubt. Child acting. First responder, dispatcher, air traffic controller. I think ATC out of all of those. Mental health worker. Infantry in the military of any branch. Working in a slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse kill floor worker. I spent a summer as a legal intern in the homicide division of the Orange County DA, and much of my job that summer was to review and catalog photos of the victims and crime scenes. Disproportionately children, since it was a job that no one really wants to do, so it's easy to pass off to interns. I have no idea how anyone does that long-term. A few months was more than enough for a lifetime. My wife is a nurse on a labor and delivery floor, and for being touted as healthcare heroes, they sure do get mistreated. She constantly goes an entire 12-hour shift without restroom breaks or eating or drinking anything, all while taking care of not just mom but baby. She constantly mentions this to her bosses, and they give her lip service and empty promises, all while taking verbal abuse from egotistical doctors and the occasional patient. Not sure how you can deliver top-of-the-line patient care without being able to take care of your basic needs. Social media moderators. There are stories about the outsourced places Facebook used to use. It was a minimum wage job, with all the awful you could think to film and a quota system. The average employment was less than a week. I would go with the police or a first responder, Facebook or other social media content revisor. Being a social media scrubber, as in someone who removes obscene, lurid, and violent videos from FB, Insta, TikTok, etc. Thanks for watching.